sort it out. I love this knife. Kind of like a chisel with a V grind, just for a stronger tip. This was one of the tester ones. When I first had a zero grind, the tip did bend when it got snagged in the wood. These knives are 5mm thick titanium, and you know, it's easy to take a really fat blade, thin, and give it a high grind. So it's basically like cutting something with another sheet of, you know, a thin sheet of metal, slicing through. It's like a razor. Of course, it's easy, but you lose that rigidity. I like these because these are 5mm thick, you know, titanium, tough, really lightweight, stout little blades that still can slice and cut. And let me get the light. This one doesn't have the any sort of relief to the cutting edge, so it is just bulky, typical shallow 5mm basic cutting edge, you know, just shallow cutting. But I love the grip on this thing. It is really nice. This is probably one of my favorites. This is why on my personal one I put the jimping on the spine in here, because I just love that feeling. This one has some stone washing on hand sanding down, so it's really smooth all along, so it just feels great. This is, I think this one has some flaws in alignment, how you say, like precision. As I just got better and better, it's one of the older ones. The kind of blue part in there, that's from the sandblasting. It's I actually mixed a polishing compound in there and it's just causing dust everywhere, and it kind of gets in there. I have to take like a toothbrush and clean it out. I don't really care. This one's sharp, but it isn't going to cut through any wood. Well, it will, but it's really difficult. I'll just admit that now. This one is a fatter blade. It's got no special geometry to it. So, but it's sharp. You see, it makes a little. It's just too quickly tries to separate what's cutting through. You can see originally I was thinking for tactical, like this is a nice, just tactical self-defense knife, and this is good for like EDC tasks, obviously cutting boxes and things like that. This one will bind on cardboard if you try to go deep into cardboard. If you can use just the tip area, it's not so bad, because obviously the cardboard won't be forced to split too quickly before it hits the 5mm thickness over here. But obviously when you're cutting with such a small blade, you know, if you're just tip of the box cutting, no problem, because it just glides along this area. To improve performance, I've noticed that the curved edge, just a slight curve, one, I actually think it's easier to sharpen, just a little curve. But two, also it does help because of the carbide teeth. So a lot of people equate them to saw teeth. So I would say it's true. And as this curve, you know, when you cut with a curved blade, the typical thing is for it to kind of slide off the surface. So that curve helps promote that edge sliding on the surface, and they're used for using the teeth more effectively. You know, using titanium, if you guys watched that older video of the Sheikah and stuff, and I have had Warren Thomas knives. I think if you just go all on YouTube, you'll see people trying to cut with their titanium knives. There's video clips of people cutting with just straight titanium, and it glides through because it's, you know, you can get a fine edge on metal. But of course that doesn't have the carbonizing, which you can see on this knife. And it was my impression, I think it's an impression out there, that carbonized titanium blades do not perform very well. Like when I reprofiled the Sheikah, and to get the actual secondary bevel lower, it still resisted wood a lot. It just didn't do very well. You guys can see the kind of, it improved, but the struggling with that. I did not expect that. I didn't think that this is possible, actually. I thought, based upon like kind of my statements, some statements by people, that these carbides act like grains of sand, teeth that kind of right, saw at the material, and in some sense trying to stick grains of sand into a piece of wood is not going to glide in. So you need like a thin, refined edge to really go into the wood. But that's not true. So I'm just going to do some macro shots. This one being my keeper. Keep in mind then that it's not perfect. I kind of rushed it. But you can see that all that by hand it's a nightmare. And it's not perfect. I can even see it here, the slight inconsistencies in the way that scoop, that, you know, but oh, that is just hard. It was just hard. I mean, you can see how it kind of fades away. And for ergos, this is my favorite one because, one, you can put your finger here, put it on top of here, and this hand, it rests nicely into your palm. It's one of my favorite ergonomic options. You guys can see some of the more finished products. Like I said, this one I'm keeping for myself, so it's not, well, I mean, it's still really nice. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like I sat here and really tried to make sure everything is perfect. I just made it. These are the final setup for the holes. I explained that in the video. This hole is better there. You can see there's two holes that have the chamfering and stuff. That is specifically those two holes. I want to have that. I lightly, just barely beveled and chamfered those holes, just so they wouldn't like tear at the paracord. This is probably my favorite blade geometry. I don't intend to do this often. This one was really difficult. This one also, obviously because of the thinner profile. I don't want to use it too much, but this option, if sometimes maybe I can try it. I do like the look. I think it's really cool. It's very tactical, really lightweight. Titanium being a tough metal, you know, it's not going to like break on you. It's going to bend. So I think that going down 3mm is a nice option. You can see the way it cuts. It is good. Whether I do it often, you can see the titanium where I got a little bit of scuffs. Keep that in mind to the owner of this. Again, I made these knives to be utility and tactical, so not really necessarily something you go prying with or doing like that. And I would say obviously you still shouldn't really pry with these knives, but I think there is that problem that when you cut with a kiridashi, you know, since the blade is so short, you kind of accidentally, you know, you always end up using the tip. And then there's that possibility that you know, where you just mishandle it and pry while that tip's in there. But like I said, to create then a more universal knife, I wanted something durable enough for the average user. I've made the production version have a more stronger tip, and in the end, this is again how it probably will be. This is the most easy one for me to do. I thought chisels were not a good way to cut evenly. When you're cutting through material, for example, if you cut straight down in a V-edge, you know, it's kind of balanced the way it's separating the material, but if it's chiseled and you cut in a certain direction, there's more resistance. But this here is a chisel. It's completely chiseled because I liked the way of having this flat side have the carbonizing. The normal straight edge, there's a shoulder, and then there's a shoulder, but it is a chisel, and the chisel cuts through the material. Like, it doesn't have any odd behavior. So that is something, again, like I did not know. So I've learned that those are not limits of a titanium blade that's carbonized. Not at all. Perhaps some of those things are like myths.